Childhood memories often, inevitably blur. But I am certain of one thing. I never saw a television set until the mid-50s, when I was almost 8 years old. My parents were strict, and even at the age of 13, I would be sent to bed real early to one of the 2 bunk beds I shared in a room with my 3 brothers. I would stretch out in bed, wide awake long after they fell asleep. And one night, around the age of 13, I could hear coming from the living room a TV drama called 12 Angry Men. And I could follow the story. I identified, of course, with the person who was sitting in the accused chair. And most of what I will read tonight reflects that, although most of it is fictional. Whose gun? You don't want to kill me. You don't want to kill me. You want to shoot the man who pretended to be your father. You want to shoot the man who pretended to be your father. It's not death I'm afraid of. It's the facelessness of the pain of dying. The facelessness of it. Your face is not one to ask questions. You're too numb to ask questions. You've stupefied yourself. You want me to pretend, to imagine death is not, simply not. The no that bleeds, that blends sweat and fear into spit on the ground, skin hooked into the part that can't be buried. You want to kill the part of me that can't be buried. You want to kill the part of me that can't be buried. If you could kill just that, you would be happier. But you can't, no matter how often you shoot. That part won't die. I won't live to see it live. I won't live to see it live. It's not me that's living. It's not me that's living. That your face should be the last one I see is what can't be forgiven. That's what makes you evil. I hated flying in airplanes because I didn't want to die next to someone I didn't know. The airplane slamming into a mountainside, each bullet like the pilot knowing the engine's on fire, my stove on a hot summer night, my stove. I don't like to cook, but I'll miss my stove. It's a messy stove. The dishes from last night aren't done. Sometimes I come home and I'll eat spaghetti sauce that I made the day before. Forkful after forkful, not even warming it up. My friends might think I'll miss my books, my dog, my records. But I'll miss my stove. Imagine shooting a stove, but you with your fucking gun don't know the difference between heating a sauce and boiling an egg. A stove has a face that I'll never forget, the face of onions, brown onions. The sound of onions growing, uncle, double onion, strassel onion. Now the onion grows with green peppers, mushrooms, garlic, and tomato sauce. Its name grows like a vine with gourds, yellow, brown, and orange. You don't want to shoot my stove. Who else do you want to shoot? The stove accepted me. You don't want to shoot me. You don't want to shoot anybody but the people who are not here. But the ones who need to be shot, they aren't here, and they deserve to be shot. If you can judge me, I can judge them. I stopped at the store, green beans, cranberry juice, dog food. You walked up, took my wallet and car keys. How long do you want me to plead? I am more than my stove. I hardly ever think of my stove. It's there in my kitchen. If my stove were next to the front door or my bed, I might think of it more often. What does your gun have to do with my stove? I cook one thing at a time. You fire one bullet at a time. My legs look good. I like their muscles. You could kill me by shooting me in the legs. You could, but it would be difficult. It would be easier to shoot me in the face, the forehead, the eyes, the side of my head, or in the chest. If I could imagine your face, if only I could imagine your face, as well as I see my stove. But your face is not a face that should be remembered. It should be forgotten, like a night when one has gone to bed hungry. You're not hungry, you're angry. You have stopped your anger with sleep more often than gone hungry. Whose gun? Whose moment of insatiable revenge? When you could have shot me and said much later, he deserved to die. You want to shoot so many others. You want to shoot all these others, except they aren't here. You want to shoot all these others, so you don't have any other choice. You shoot me or you shoot them. You don't have any other choice. You don't want to shoot me, but you need to shoot them. You don't have any other choice. The re-enlistments. I wish I hadn't re-enlisted twice, my father belched, his voice perplexed with resentment's loyalty, insisting on choices stunned as untrangled wrecks. Me too, my mother sighed, but what else should he have expected, court-martialed in 1945 for fighting with an officer and knifing him, the verdict thrown out on a witness technicality? He needed only once to touch an engine's flaws, and so they kept him on, reduced in rank to warn his oldest son in garage asides of cause and effects. The hastiness of a man who finished painting his house by staying up all night and heading out at dawn only not to beat 200 boxcars and their locomotive across train tracks, and don't trust any man who might want you to be alone with him. A young boy your age got his, he paused, got his parts cut off the other side of town a week ago. That the priests and nuns had rules of not touching myself and had already done their work like counterpunches to the gut did not stagger him. Painting eaves, he shook his head at how terrified I was to climb a ladder even 5 feet up. My balance always seemed off guard in grade after grade, enduring the amused smirks of jocks' girlfriends. I heard you sit on your toilet on Friday nights and let your dog suck your cock. Repeat it again and again until I learned the brutal folly of the middle of morning's middle finger to a grievous bully. And redemption for Leland Hickman, poet, editor, my mentor. 1934, 1991. A friend's been dead for almost 30 years. I knew him only 20. 20 years from now, no doubt someone will say the like of me, or so my wife succors herself. It will be half a century then, though I will not be counting. You might, if you remember either of us, still as poets who for scant wages played our instruments for all their tawdry worth. Once, Lee was asked to read at Claremont College. Someone, an undergrowth concealed, watched him load enough into his car to know he would be gone for several hours. While he was reading poems, that addict stole everything that was precious, except for a shelf of books. The furor of disrespect, the thrashing of what few hours he was given to redeem. I remember once sitting in his room, The light began to fade, but he didn't turn on a lamp. Each jounce of diminishing light and shadow flickered across his face, receding, bobbing back, subsiding. We sat there quietly, waiting for the turbulent dark to read to each other more work on what has been spoiled. Thank you.